Okay, I want to present the no cure model for tinnitus. This is something that people practice a lot, and it's based on the idea that there's no cure. And then I'll be moving on to the well-being model, which is all about getting better, just to warn you if this gets a bit gloomy. But this is actually the state of play for a lot of people. You hear messages like, learn to live with it. You've got tinnitus, there's nothing you can do. In the medical model, they talk a lot about pills that cure symptoms, and there's no pill that cures tinnitus, but that doesn't mean you can't get better. So the term no cure sends out very powerful messages, and it can be a bit misleading. You can actually recover from tinnitus. But one of the main things that happens with people is when they hear things like there's no cure, you've got to learn to live with it, the first response is fear. Oh my God. And most people bomb to the internet, find horrendous stories online, and their mind fills with negative messages, which triggers a fight or flight response, which causes us to become even more heady, more reactive, and our senses become hypervigilant. The fight or flight response is all about getting out of danger. So our adrenaline starts pumping, the heart starts beating, the mouth goes dry, pupils dilate, and our ears listen out for danger even more to protect us from ambush or attack or a lion or some fearful situation. Our hearing is designed to protect us, to keep us safe. And so if we have any sense of fear, our auditory perception ramps up its sensitivity and starts listening out even more for danger. And this is one of the key driving forces behind tinnitus. So people go into fight or flight, they get negative messages off the internet, they meet doctors or health practitioners that say there's nothing you can do about it, it's a terrible affliction. And they can join groups of people who have negative mindsets. Now this is really important. If you have a clump of people all believing that they can't get better, then this can be quite a powerful influence on your mindset. So you end up having a really strong belief system, and you can get very entrenched and locked into a negative way of thinking, which actually makes you listen out even more for danger. So with further fear and a sense of doom and gloom, you can actually get your hearing into an even more sensitized state. You can develop tinnitus, louder tinnitus, and you can actually become painfully sensitive and go into hyperacusis. When you get negative groups of people, there can be quite a lot of bullying. So the moment people start talking about cure or getting better, oh, that doesn't exist, it's snake oil, you're not going to get better, it's impossible, just stop raising people's hopes. You can get this really negative bullying behavior. It's almost as if I'm suffering, so I want you to suffer, and if you dare suggest that I can get better, that makes me angry. Quite often I've received things over the years saying quite negative responses to helping people, and they're saying that it's not true. And of course there's loads of evidence. People are just writing about it on the YouTube videos every day, and I of course got better. I had it for 20 years, I had it really badly, and since 2002 I've had pretty much a tinnitus-free life. So really need to be careful of this negative, entrenched group behavior, because if you get further stuck into the loop, you can end up going into freezing response, and this is horrible. When we freeze, this is when the stress levels get so high that our body starts to shut down. So if the lion actually jumps on top of the gazelle will go into shock, it'll freeze, and the body goes numb, and the mind spaces out, and you can dissociate. And if you stay in this freezing response for quite a long time, it's incredibly hard to sleep. You feel on edge, nervous. You have a sort of sense of feeling trapped. I can't get out of here. You can feel a prevailing sense of doom and dread and terror. And of course, the mind starts catastrophizing. This is completely normal for being stuck in freezing response. And when we dissociate, we go into shock. What happens is that the mind and the body split. So the body goes numb, we stop being able to feel the difficulty inside, and the mind spaces out. Quite literally, we can feel floaty, we can feel away with the fairies, we can feel that everything's a bit surreal, we're not quite sure where we are, and we have a horrible sense of feeling cornered or trapped. And we can get really stuck in the loop of dread and feeling trapped, and our mind becomes even more fixed. And you know, if you carry on believing this, it's very easy, and I've been in this place myself really big time, to go into dark thoughts, having really horrific dark thoughts. Not going to go into that too much, but there's a sense of help, there's nothing I can do, there's no end to this, and people quite often can think terrible things. And you end up just being really stuck and trapped in a bad place. So the huge influence on this is the mindset, believing no cure, hearing there's no cure, and having it reinforced by other people, and going into from fight or flight, where your attention's up and out, very reactive, hyper vigilant vision and hearing, into freeze response. So enough of the doom and gloom. Let's quickly move on to the well-being model. I really like this name because it's all about well-being. So having a good positive mindset, having well-being in the body, and it gives you a very tangible thing to aim for. And I think developing body-based awareness, where you sense well-being directly, coming out of fight or flight, this helps your nervous system settle. Having been stuck in the no cure center that I previously presented, a really good place is to start noticing the positive tinnitus stories. So you start hearing about other people that have got better. Gosh, Julian got better, Aid got better, Anna got better, Kate, Joe, Rob. You start building up a sense that, gosh, actually quite a lot of people got better. A huge number of people with tinnitus get better. In fact, most people get better. It's a tiny percentage that actually develop it into an ongoing syndrome. And these people are often very meticulous, perfectionist, or they're in a state of shock or trauma, or they've had far too much stress building up and they feel overwhelmed. But once you start thinking about getting better and other people getting better, you can start finding the right kind of support. It's very important to check your ears out, to go and see a doctor, see an audiologist. If you have any sudden changes in your hearing, you need to have your ears checked out. You don't want to mess around with your ears. There's a lot that can be done to help your ears function really well, and seeing an audiologist and seeing an ear, nose and throat surgeon may be really, really useful. And once the coast is clear, you know what is possible. They can help you get the function of your hearing to as good a place as possible. Then it's really good to start building up your support network. So you start getting therapies that help you come out of fight or flight. So on my app Quieten and on the YouTube videos, there are lots of different strategies we can adopt to help bring you out of this freezing response or up and out hypervigilant state, and to come back into back in and down into a calmer, more relaxed body, taking the focus away from your hearing and getting you to switch off and settle and come back home to a more comfortable state inside yourself. Understanding that tinnitus is a temporary stress-related condition is commonly triggered by loud noise exposure, viruses. There can be all sorts of triggers, a million triggers. Often the stress response is one of the main things that keeps it going. So once you bring the stress response down, you start to understand that this is actually something that can get better. It gives you a sense of relief. Understanding how tinnitus works is very helpful because it takes away the threatening nature. And learning to distract yourself by getting stuck into work, spending time with friends, doing things that you love doing, it's really, really helpful for bringing you out of this fight or flight or freeze response. One of the best things that helps bring people out of fight or flight or freeze response is bodywork. Bear in mind that in fight or flight, the attention's up and out, and in freeze, we kind of just go into meltdown and dissociate. Bodywork puts you back in touch with yourself and helps you settle. It grounds you back into the body. You develop awareness of the body or mindfulness of the body. And bodywork tends to switch the head off. It tends to calm the thinking down. After a class of yoga or Tai Chi, the head's clear and the body just feels more relaxed. So you drop into a much calmer, clearer state. And the more grounded, calm and clear you are, the more the head resets itself. So the thinking clears down, but the senses, instead of being hyper alert, hyper vigilant, they start to switch off. And with tinnitus, it's crucial to understand that the dynamic auditory system that can go from radar-like antennas can actually revert back to peacetime, happy ears that are very good at filtering out the background information. There are filters in the central nervous system that inhibit the perception of sound. We're not designed to hear the buzz of our central nervous system. We're designed to hear important stuff out there. So when we are calm and settled, then the hearing desensitizes and only focuses on what's important. So you can fall asleep at a party with loud noise and somebody calls your name, "Whoa, Julian," and you wake up. Or you can be fast asleep at night, but you can hear a baby crying and that will wake you up if it's important. If it's not important, if it's a baby next door or a baby on the plane, actually you can sleep through it. Bodywork helps you settle, switch off and come back to peacetime hearing, and this is crucial in my mind for helping people come out of a very mental, heady, catastrophic way of dealing with the tinnitus. The body approaches help calm down the nervous system. The adrenaline levels come right down. The activation levels really calm down. So if you have very reactive tinnitus or you hear noises out there and they really jar on you, that actually changes so that you become more robust. And you can ignore the world and only focus on what's important. Having a good diet is another really positive influence. Your body's functioning to the best of its ability. You're not bombarding it with stimulants like coffee, tea, alcohol. A little bit of these things is fine. You don't want to have too much salt or sugar. So having a healthy diet helps your body function well, so you have more energy, you're more robust, and your system is not troubleshooting all the time. It can just drop into well-being. So with more well-being, mentally, physically, physiologically, in the function of the body, it's well-being all the way through that helps you find your center, helps you ground, and the auditory system pipes down, and you get quieter and quieter. until you feel out of it, you feel free. When it drops down to a 0.5 out of 10 or 1 out of 10, and you have periods of silence, this isn't a miracle, it happens regularly. It's such a relief. You know it's temporary, you know it can just switch off again. I've said this many times on my videos. Why is it so strange for years of silence suddenly to turn into tinnitus? Why is it so strange that that can switch off again? Of course it can switch off again. It's the fear and the catastrophic thinking and the mind that hyper focuses on the tinnitus that's one of the main problems. So I think one of the really crucial things is positive tinnitus stories. Hearing from people who have got better, it's so inspiring, it's very comforting, and you know that there is a way out of this. So when I was told there was no cure, it really had a negative impact on me, but I know how to get better now. I've worked with nearly 1,000 people with tinnitus, and it is possible to make a really good recovery. And so the mindset, having a positive mindset, having a good toolbox of strategies, coping strategies, it's really important to know that you can do yoga, tai chi, focusing, cold showers, hot showers. There's so many things that you can do to make yourself calm down, feel better, and take the mind off tinnitus. Distracting your mind away from tinnitus is crucial. Getting stuck into good, wholesome things that you love doing is actually really, really helpful. Tinnitus people tend to do the opposite. They tend to withdraw from all their resources and pull away, but actually getting on with your daily life, things you love, really helps a lot. And most tinnitus people have a gaping hole here. They haven't learnt to self-soothe yet, and they're not very good at switching off the head and centering themselves. So Bodywork, this is a really big piece. We need to get this into a regular lifestyle, daily practice, hopefully. And that's what really brings the activation down. And the diet, of course, there are lots of things that can really help tinnitus back off. So the well-being model, I really encourage you to get a really healthy support network, hands-on therapist, calming body-based practices, and to understand that tinnitus is a changeable feast. Stay away from negative messages and people with negative views of tinnitus, and put all your focus and attention into calming, soothing, relaxing, distracting, and getting your body into a very good place. I think my favorite technique, which you can find on my app, is called the boat mast technique, which really focuses on the spine, your vertical center, and then your connection of the midline down into the ground, literally focusing on your center and being grounded with it. So I hope these two models make sense to you. Hopefully they're common sense, and yes, I'll be talking more about these various aspects in detail on a regular basis.